Welcome back to RMS. We have got a 2005 Volkswagen Golf Mark 5 type thingamajig. Customers come in, said that his traction control light comes on, then it won't start. Bit concerned about what he meant about that. Was it broke down when the traction light come on, etc. But no, it's actually when you turn the ignition on, if the traction light comes on, it won't actually start. As soon as that goes off, it starts. He showed me what he was doing. We've got it in. We're going to get it scanned, see what's going on. Right, we've given it a scan with a thinkcar 399. If you'd like to know a bit more about the thinkcar, we'll actually leave a description down below. That's an affiliate link which shows that you have clicked on our link to go and check these out, which does help the channel. So go and check them out. Have a look for their prices. They do some good tools. The next one down from this is 391. It's something like £2,000 plus the VAT. Does everything this does apart from the electric functions and the heavy duty stuff. So yeah, pretty good tool. So we've given this a scan. We can talk to everything: engine control module, gateway, ABS, everything like that. We have got a few fault codes in it. Let's show you what's going on. So the ABS is saying no communication with the engine ECU. That's stored. Engine ECU has got an EGR code in it. I'll be surprised if that does it. It starts so well. It's probably just an old code. Anything else? Nothing serious. Gateway module. What comes up with that? Oh. And again, we've got another one in the gateway module saying no communication with the ECU. So maybe that's what the issue is. Maybe the ECU is not turning on correctly. So we're going to clear all the fault codes out of it and try and replicate the fault. And then we'll see what's going on. If we can get to a non-start position, then we could rescan the car. So it's just cleared the engine ECU. It's going to clear all the other faults in the whole car anyway. But we can talk to the ECU at the moment. If we turn it off, turn it back on, when it doesn't start, when we can get that fault to occur, we'll go back in, check whether we can talk to all the modules, see if one of them is shutting down. I suspect engine ECU. Right, so that's all cleared. ABS and ECU are all clear now. So we've got no traction control light on. But when that comes on and stays on, it won't start. It's on. Engine management light isn't on. Doesn't start. As suspected, I don't think the engine ECU is turning on, or maybe not communicating. If the scan tool talks to the engine fan to come on. That's another sign normally that the engine ECU hasn't powered up correctly. But let's just go into it and do a full scan again. And I'm pretty sure we're not going to be able to talk to the engine ECU. Looks like it's scanned the ECU. That's weird. I wasn't expecting that. That's the thing. Is the engine ECU turning on but not communicating with the rest of the car? Or is it not turning on at all? So we'll find out more. Make sure it still doesn't start. No. Even if it's a mobiliser fault on these, when you start it, it will start for a couple of seconds and then go off. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to be down that side of it. Unfortunately, the fans are running at the moment, but we don't want to disturb it and turn it off, turn it back on. So the electronic power steering is coming up with ECU no communication. But this come up saying no DTCs. I'll be surprised if this talks. It is talking. Well, read DTCs. No DTCs. That's a bit of a worry because it did. Oh no, I cleared the DTC, didn't I? I cleared that. By channel, by list. Select all. Well, it's saying it is talking. Is it really? Module information. It is coming up with that. It's reading the control module information. But we've got no data. That's a bit weird. It's as if it's half talking to it. Right, I'm just going to cycle the ignition a couple of times. Yeah, I think. Fuel pump's just kicked in. Engine management light's come on, that's gone off. Right, we DTC's at the engine. What? Now it's saying it's got no communication. That's weird. What is going on? Right, back into it. We're into that. It's no problem. It's just, yeah, still no DTCs. Now let's just check data. Okay. Now we've got data. So that's a weird one. It's as if it's half turning on. I don't know. All the data comes back when we can do that. So is it? It's going to be talking down the same lines. It's not as if one's talking down a K line and one's talking down a CAN network, I wouldn't think. But the main thing is, when it doesn't turn on, we get no light. We get no fuel pump. We have got a fuel pump now. Try again. No fuel pump. Light will come back on. So unfortunately, we're going to have to go straight to the ECU, find out what's going on, lives in, lives out, make sure that everything's working. We can't really test much more. We can't go to the 5 volt to see if it's turning on correctly, because we need to see the main lives in, the terminal 30 and the terminal 15, if it's got that. Make sure it does turn on, and then it could be turning the ECU on, but the ECU is not telling the engine control relay to then power itself back up. So again, that would be sort of half turned on, if you see what I mean. So let's get a diagram up. We'll have a look. Okay, so we have got the control relay, which we knew about. And we have got these 4 fuses, which that controls. So I'm going to get Barney to turn the ignition on, and we'll monitor what goes on. Okay, ignition on. What we got? So that's with the engine light on. It does power up and off. And on again. Okay. Right, so nothing's changed on that. Okay, so we're getting voltage out. And ignition off. And on. Okay, still traction light off. On. Right, so we've got the engine light on now. And we've still got the same voltages, so nothing's changing. The engine is turning this relay on. So if I pull that relay out, do you lose the engine management light? Yeah, traction light back on. Now they're both back on. Right, let's show you what we're getting. These 5 fuses, I was going on 7, 8, 9 and 10. All of them 4 come out of that control relay, and it is being powered by the engine ECU. That is a controlled switch, which means that it's got to be getting its switch from, where would that be coming from? It might be CAN controlled. To get a switch on the last one, it was showing it. Oh, no, there we go. Yeah, ignition control circuits. So when you turn the ignition on, it puts power out of the relay, across, out this fuse 40, over to the internal fuse box through 29, through a 10 amp fuse, straight down to the engine control relay. Straight down to the engine control module, sorry. So that's the ignition to tell it to turn on. That is accepting it, sticking out on earth onto this relay, turning all this lot on. Whether that's on or off, sometimes this is talking, sometimes it's not. So what does that mean? Maybe one of the powers is not getting down to the ECU to turn it on correctly, although it's getting the switch live. That's what turns that on and allows us to talk to it. But when we actually try and get them main lives on, it's not working correctly. So maybe they're not getting back to it, or maybe it's got an internal fault inside the ECU. So the only thing we can do is strip it out, get to the ECU, test the voltages in, load test them, make sure they're okay. If they're okay, it's probably going to be an ECU internal fault, like a processor not clicking on or a transistor not turning on, turning itself on internally. Yeah, that's all we can do. Right, let's get the ECU stripped out. We'll have a look there. Well, they don't make this easy for you, do they? ECU is under the scuttle panel. So it's wipers off, scuttle panel off. And And then quite often they put a security shield around it as well, just in case if you was going to have to steal this and you stripped all that off, got the bonnet open, took all your wipers off and stripped it out, you wouldn't be able to do it too quickly. So it's crazy. And apparently each country is different. They say Thatcham approve what our cars are. Like the Fords, where they have shear bolts on the ECU, apparently some other countries don't have it. Because Thatcham say, well, that's a bit too easy to steal. We want an added bit of security. So we want that. So, yeah, a little bit of useless information for you. So hopefully this last wiper comes undone okay. Because they can stick on there. Oh, come on. I've got the puller for it, but nice if you don't have to use them. Oh man. No. Right, I'm going to get the puller on that, pull that one off, get this up. I'll show you when we're in there. Again, something else we've got to do. To try and get the puller onto that, it's better to have the windscreen wiper halfway up the screen, which you can do and then turn the ignition off when it's halfway. But it won't work with the bonnet up, and I can't get to it with the bonnet down. So we've got to latch the bonnet over so it thinks that the bonnet's closed. That should do it. That should allow the wipers to work now. Right, so if I can turn it off when it's halfway up the screen. Oh no! It won't do it. So now what we need to do, when you turn the ignition off, it won't come off. So once you turn the ignition off, it keeps power to that and lets it work. So what I'm going to have to do is disconnect the battery when it's in its right place. Let's try this. Success! All that to be able to get the clamp around it, which is this, but because the scuttle's in the way, you can't get it on with the wiper arm right down. And people say, why did it take you so long? This is actually a battery terminal tool. I've never used it on a battery terminal, but they work very well on the wiper arms. She's a tight model. She's going to have a little helping hand. There we go. She's off. So, yeah, not the best of ideas, all that corrosion in there, but right, let's get that scuttle stripped out. I'll show you when we get into the ECU. Oh no. So, just starting to pull the ECU out. We've got it undone, got the scuttle out, pulling that out of there. And I've just put my hand down there, look. And she's a mouse nest or something. Oh. Do I want to put my hands in there? What if one runs out? It's damp. Okay. If it's damp, they won't be living in there, will they? What do you think? Oh. What is that? There's a bolted earth there. Oh no, they haven't eaten through that. Oh. Okay, right. Let's get that ECU out so I can test it. I'll take all this panel out as well. A few more screws in there. to allow that to pull out forwards. Just plug your computer in. It'll tell you what's wrong with it. That's what they say. Yeah, don't think so. While we're on the subject of that, actually, I put a post out a couple of weeks ago on Facebook. Garage owner. Well, in fact, not everyone. Let me know what you think about this. So, I see somebody moaning that they're taking their car into a garage, asked for a diagnostic check to be done because they had a fault with their engine. The garage plugged it in, charged them £60, £70, and told them, yeah, we need to rebook you because it needs investigation. That customer was disgruntled that he's gone to a garage expecting some sort of result. They've charged him a load of money and sent him off with no more information than what he had. He wasn't happy with that, which, fair enough, sort of. The only reason why he was disgruntled because he wasn't given the right information, as far as I can see. I think if somebody phones up your garage and says, can you do me a diagnostic check? You know, you should know, the chances of you plugging that in and it telling you exactly what it needs, exactly what you need to fit, is 1%, if that. Because even if it comes up with a basic fault, a temperature sensor fault, you know, a basic £20 sensor, the chance of it being that sensor or a broken wire, corroded wire, a bad plug, something else, is pretty high. So you plugging it in, even if it just says it's that sensor, you can't be 100% sure that's what he needs. But that's what the customer's expecting because you said you would get him in for a diagnostic check. Do you agree or don't you agree? If you've explained to the customer when he phoned up, hi, I've got an engine light on, could you have a check over of me? Could you give it a check over? You go, yep, no problem. But this is not going to fix your car. What it's going to do is it's going to give us a basic first look at your car, and then we're going to decide what we need to do. Probably have to rebook you for further investigation, but what we're going to tell you is whether it's safe to drive, whether we've got an oil fault or cooling fault or anything like that. If you've only got slight misfire, if you've only got, you know, an emissions fault, saying that your exhaust gases are slightly high, too rich, too lean, whatever, still safe to drive until we bring it in. That's what we're charging you for. We are not going to charge you for finding the fault on this car with a diagnostic check because it's not going to work. So it's just the communication I think it's lacking. When I put this post out, all the garages or a load of garages were going, yeah, you're right, you should do that, which is fine. And another one's going, you've got to charge for your time. You've got to charge for your diagnostic tool. We've had to buy a diagnostic tool. We've had to pay for the upgrades. You've got to charge for everything, which is fine. Again, it's got to be charged for. We're paid for all that stuff. They're all right. It was the lack of communication between the two, between the garage and the customer, what let that down, 100%. So if you're literally saying, yeah, bring it in, I'll charge you 50 quid, I'll tell you what's wrong with your car, you're wrong. You know, there's no way you're going to be right. You know, you plug it in, comes up near side rear ABS sensor. Are you just going to fit that? Fit a genuine sensor at £100 plus an hour's fitting without doing any tests on it? Because again, that's wrong. You know, you should be testing before you fit the part. So, I don't know. Controversial, I know. Stick in the comments below whether you're a garage or a customer, which way you'd like to be done. But everything's got to be charged for. I charge for everything I do. If I'm stood here thinking about this car, I'm charging. Don't charge for making the videos. Don't get that into your head. But, yeah, I'm charging for thinking about this car. Everything has got to be chargeable. Your garage has got to be charged for. We've got overheads, we've got everything else. But it's a lack of communication. Sure of it. Let me know what you think. Right, let's get this out now, we can get to it. Right, so the main thing we're going to be checking is these main powers here. 30 amp fuse comes down. It goes to pin 3, 5 and 6. They're your main powers once the engine ECU's turned on. All the other ones are sort of auxiliaries. It'll power up things like, what's that motor there? Intake air manifold motor. One's going to exhaust recirculation solenoid. So them ones we're not too worried about. It's only the main power for the ECU. So as long as we've got them ones going in there, I'd say we know we've got this switch going in because that's telling this one to turn, or this one to turn that relay on, which we know is all working. So if we go to here, load test up them 3 and the 3 earths, we've got main earths there on the brown, K1, 2 and 4, which we can see in there. on them terminals, and it is actually written on there, the numbers as well. So it's the big thick ones. So we're going to check that, and then yeah, so we're going to check that, see how we go. Right, so we've back probed into there. We're going to get Barney to turn the ignition on and off again. Get that shining off my bald head. Oh, there we go. Right, big boy. Ignition on. What's that got? Traction light, no engine light. And off. And on. Okay. And we've got the engine light on now. And it's fine. So we've got good lives. We've got good earths. I am going to leave it connected. Leave the ignition on as it is and just do a quick load test with a Load Pro just to make sure. But normally these give out enough draw to show up any volt drop, but that's got full voltage, the same as we've got the other end. So, right, that'll do, Barney. Leave the ignition on, mate. So we're not going to disturb anything. So yeah, we're not going to disturb it. The voltage is coming down. I suspect it's going to be internal. Oh, we have just got to do that switch live. Just make sure that is live in the bump. It's got to be. It's got to be okay. But I will show you it. Let's just load test this. Right, so I've got a meter set up. We're going to go from earth to the battery, straight down into the live. That's channel 12.23. Put a load on the switch, which loads up the circuit, and it's holding. If it's dropping down a couple of volts, it'd be a worry. But it's not. It's absolutely fine. Right, move across to put it onto earth so we can put it onto the power so we can test our earth. Again, that's fine. But one thing we are going to do, I'm going to get it so the traction light's on so the ECU is not powering up, because that's when the fault is. If that relay has got bad contact in it and it's not giving full voltage quick enough, maybe that will show something up, but I'll be surprised. Oh, there we go. So that's not working now. And we'll just load it up quickly so you can, I don't know if you can hear it, but the buzzing from the engine's gone. Move that across to that. Now the fan's on, even worse. Earth, we'll test the earth. And again, it's good. The only reason why the voltage is down is because the fan's on. So the only thing which I want to check, just because it's niggling me, is that switch live going in to pin 18. It was. So let's get it. What's it doing at the moment? Is it? Right, so that is powered on. So we should have a live go into this. Which we do have. In fact, I'm going to leave that there so you can hear it. Right. Ignition off. Then ignition on. Still good. Off. On. Okay, we've got no engine management light now, and this is the point where it's going to be faulty, and we have got our ignition switch live in. There we go. That's everything checked. Well, everything apart from the can lines. Now, this is a point where we can go down a rabbit hole of checking all the can lines through, or we can get a donor ECU and try that on it. There's breakers down the road, let's just borrow them, try them over, so it's worth doing that. If not, even if I had to buy one, if it's 30 or 40 pounds, it's worth getting one, testing it in there, flicking the ignition on and off. You know, if it works 100 times, turns on and off, we know it's that before we go down cloning it and doing anything like that. So we're going to leave it here for this one. So yeah, next week we hopefully have got a cameraman coming in, full-time social media person. He's going to be doing all the Facebook, TikToks, all that sort of stuff, making some shorter videos, making some like more technical tips and tricks maybe. So we're going to see how that goes. So hopefully you'll see a difference in there. If you do like this type of video, like to support the channel, just drop a like down below, comment on what you think I was saying about the scan tools. Also, if you can, give us a subscribe. Costs you no money to subscribe. People still seem to think that you press that subscribe button, you're going to get charged a couple of quid a month. We don't, you know, it doesn't actually do anything. It just shows that you like our channel. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week. I'll let you know what's going on with this one. And hopefully you'll like the cameraman. See you next week.